Hi, this is Joseph. It's Tuesday, it's July 21st, and we're going to start off here with the Euro futures. Before I begin, though, today I want to start off with the monthly chart. Usually we take a look at the daily chart just to kind of see what kind of developments we had for the trading session that particular day to see if there's any possible patterns or setups for the following day. But today I want to start off with the monthly. And this is a chart I've been watching for quite some time. And you can see that there's some different characteristics as far as the behavior here back in 2018. We were talking about that with some coaching students today. Uh, I'm not going to get into too much detail here because obviously this is for the Trade Copier subscribers. So you just want to know, what I might be doing for tomorrow and what my expectations are for the, near future. But this sort of comes together as I do my analysis, and I'm watching not only price and the structure, but the behavior, the characteristics behind the movement, the candle patterns, the way they close at the end of relative to whatever time frame I'm looking at. In this case, it would be the monthly chart. And then also notice volume. So this is real volume. This is not like tick volume in the MetaTrader platform. This is real volume. Again, this is Euro futures. So again, a decent downtrend, and things are starting to change here. And we're getting right up to, so just notice this. This was July 1st, 2008 high, downtrend line. We can make a few little adjustments here, but this does a pretty good job at holding and identifying these overthrow areas where it's gone to an extreme level in a few different scenarios. So we see it back in 2017. We see it back over here in 2013. 2014. This is May. So let's go ahead and open up the chart here. And you can see this downtrend line where it is now. Price is starting to close on the monthly for the euro above this uptrend line. I'm sorry, this downtrend line. So this is a pretty good sign. This is a pretty good signal. I've got a 5-day moving average running through here, and usually that's going to apply to my my daily time frames, which I'll switch to in just a moment. So as far as the projected price targets, a few things that we want to be paying attention to are different points in time where we saw some serious activity. Serious activity that correlates to the volume. We have this particular month. This was May 1st. This was May 2018. This is obviously March of this year with the reaction that we got with the whole COVID and the virus and the way the market sort of really skewed a lot of that data. But again, noticing that we're starting to take out these levels and we're really starting to see a lot of momentum. I have two projected price targets. As far as the bigger picture here on the monthly time frame. My first price target is the 1.2150, and the second price target is the 1.2350. That would be the max. So somewhere between those two levels, I'll be watching to see if that actually develops, and as price continues to move to those levels here on the euro. That's euro dollar, those price levels, 1.2150 euro dollar and 1.2350 euro dollar. That would be the max. So there's the minimum and the max projected price targets. Now, I'm not calling for a buy right now at this point. If you're not in the euro dollar, please be careful. You've always got to prepare and be aware, if I switch to a daily time frame, that we could expect some retracements and we could expect some retests of levels that it broke out of. So, for example, if we were to look at this March 9th high, the candle, today's candle is closing above that level. It may come back down and test that level and bounce. I did have a few trades that I'll show you here on my charts on the smaller time frames. This was actually a continuation breakout trade. So with coaching students, very often when they're learning my strategies, the first technique that I developed was the continuation breakout trade. And this is actually setting up a continuation breakout trade here on the daily time frame. This is a daily time frame now on the euro futures. But I want to show you what it looks like on the smaller time frame. I use that continuation breakout trade strategy on the 1-hour chart. You may have seen it on some of my videos on my website. Again, that's one of the first techniques that I developed back in 2001. Very effective, puts me in the path of a big trending move, and I would expect that there's probably going to be more to the upside on this one. Again, tomorrow it could be a retest day. Thursday could be a retest day of the level that it broke out of. That's a possibility, so be prepared for that. So when I mentioned this isn't an automatic opportunity. I'm not calling or telling anyone to buy euro dollar right now. Of course, I wouldn't do that. I'm going to trade it in and out along the way up to those projected price targets, but I have to anticipate these retracements along the way, price waves as it continues to trend up or down, and we have to anticipate that. So let's take a quick look at the continuation breakout trade. This is the euro dollar. This is MetaTrader. Let me pull things together so you can see exactly what's going on here. I'm going to tighten up this chart so you can see what's going on. This is a 1 hour chart, euro dollar, 1 hour chart. And here's my level of resistance. So the same pattern that I get here on the daily time, the 1 hour chart, is the same basic structure and setup that I would execute if I was trading off of a daily time frame, which I showed you on the euro futures. It's pretty much setting up the same opportunity. So basically what I'm doing is identifying lows or highs in the market. Some people refer to these as areas of distribution or accumulation, depending on which direction you're looking at. And when I developed this method back in 2001, I understood accumulation and distribution, and they were sort of the idea that I was modeling my breakout strategy after, but I used the Bollinger Bands and these indicators to confirm the actual candle that develops the breakout. And this is a very effective strategy. I don't get too many of these continuation breakout trades, and that is the key to the whole thing, is patience. So as you can see here, this again is a 1 hour time frame. If I put my crosshairs here, we can go all the way back over here. This was July 15th. July 15th, last week, 1 hour time frame. It's sort of traveling around. I don't really have any continuation breakout trades. It finds an area of resistance, and then it solidifies that area of resistance. Resistance in a situation like this would be, the high for the week or the low for the week, something to that effect. Here you can see multiple data points along this path of this area of resistance that solidifies and confirms that area of resistance. And then I have a low down here, which was last week's low right here, and that's at approximately the 1368 area. So I've got 1368 for a low, and I've got 1465. For those of you coaching students who are watching this video, you know that the consolidation range has to be a specific range from the high to the low. If it's too small, obviously it could lead to possible head fakes. And what I'm doing is trying to wait for that one particular candle where there's a lot of volume, a lot of momentum, and I get confirmation that 1 hour candle that finally breaks outside of this consolidation range. Now, obviously, this is in an uptrend. There was an area of consolidation from last week, and then earlier this week, right? Monday sort of bounces around, and then today we got our breakout. On that close completed candle, all indicators have to be confirming, for the most part. There cannot be any divergence. So the first indicator that I use is the Bollinger Bands. Now, some of you may not have access to volume, true volume. Looking at euro futures, for example, some people just aren't prepared or ready for that. They just want to stay focused on what they see on the MetaTrader platform. That's fine. So the tools that we would need to use if we couldn't see volume levels and things like that, true volume, would be these indicators. So the Bollinger Bands, I selected the Bollinger Band after studying the Bollinger's method, that particular indicator, realizing that on a breakout it's going to show me a sign of strength. And I needed another way of confirming that breakout if I didn't have access to volume. I highly recommend you look at volume whenever you trade currencies, but some people don't have access to those chart programs. So again, that's why I selected some of these indicators when I developed this method, so that if I was just trading off of the MetaTrader platform and this is all of the tools that I had available at my disposal, they would have to suffice. They would have to do, and they would have to give me the confirmation that I need to indicate that price is likely to not only close above this resistance point, printing a breakout, but also continuing to trend in the direction to the expected take profit target. When I execute this trade on the 1 hour chart, on the euro dollar, the pound dollar, it's a 55 pip target. So again, the entry, it's a 3 pip entry. Coaching students already know the entry point. The entry is not the signal candle itself. I still need a 3 pip entry. And then it continues and it moves straight to that target. So the final target here is 1545, obviously up and in profitability from the entry of 90. The high of the signal candle was 87. So again, a 3 pip entry, 90. Now I did have a one failed trade today. It was a 9 pip loss, just 9 pips. So basically what I was doing was looking at this range right here and identifying the possibility of price actually holding and then reversing back down to the other side of this consolidation level. And that was during the prior to the New York session open. So it looked like a sell opportunity. So I went ahead and executed the trade. Now, when I have a loss, they're very contained and they're very small. I can detect that the trade isn't going to work and that things are starting to change. So there's a period of time very often throughout these different trading sessions that we all watch, and there is a sort of a transitional phase where you sometimes see some of these patterns in these setups, these candle patterns, and they look good, but there could be something missing, or maybe it's just a little too premature at the moment. Sometimes you get in a little early. You might be right on the direction. You know, it might pull back a little bit deeper than you anticipated, sort of shaking out weak hands, things like that. It could be news that drops at about that same time. But otherwise, the trade is accurate in the direction. You just have to make sure that you maintain and manage that position. So again, I was trying to short here earlier in the sessions, long before the breakout, and I could see that it wasn't working. I think I was up maybe 9 or 10 pips. And then when it turned around and it started to go the opposite direction, I closed it down 9 pips. So we lost 9 pips, but then was able to recover once I saw the continuation breakout trade to the upside. And again, it looks almost the same thing. It's basically the same pattern here. Obviously, I don't have the Bollinger Bands. I'm using Keltner. Bollinger Bands on another chart. I do have another platform that I'm using this same strategy. So I'm looking for the continuation breakout trade strategy, that technique. I'm looking for it to develop on the daily time frame as well, and that's going to give me more confirmation that the trend is likely to continue. And again, I had those projected price targets on the euro dollar. I'll repeat them again one more time. The minimum is the 1.2150 on the euro dollar, 1.2150. If I was to go over here to the monthly chart, I don't have it. This particular chart is not the one that I was doing the analysis on to find these particular targets. I just want to show you the monthly time frame. So 1.2150 is the first target, first possible target, which is here approximately, and then the second target is the 1.2350, which is just about here. And again, this is the monthly chart on the euro dollar. So at this point, everything looks good. It looks like it's going to remain pretty constant and consistent. I just need to wait. Again, this candle is closed. The 2 o'clock rollover period is in the books. So we've got Monday's candle in the books. Just waiting for an opportunity to trade this if it ends up moving just a little bit higher. Usually on these continuation breakout trades, when they hit their final 55 pip target, sometimes they'll go a little bit further than the actual target, and then they sort of stall right around there. So when it does move up to that level, I don't know that I'm going to reopen another trade going higher. I'll just have to wait and see what it looks like during the Asian and the early London session, and it might give me another opportunity. If it drops after hitting the final target there at 45 and pulls back down, it may come back down and then bounce, for example, and then move back up again. Again, I have to prepare for the possibility that there could be a retest of the level that it broke out of. Very often we see that. Today we did not. Sometimes we get a breakout and it'll retest the level that it broke out of and then bounce and then continue. Other times, if it's strong, obviously you probably heard some of the news that helped push price higher on this pair, and that's why we got such a quick accelerated move along with a lot of volume here. So this one worked perfectly. It was a really good trade, but this also gives me an opportunity to share some of my stop loss. Sometimes at the high side, at the extreme, I might have maybe a 25 pip loss, something to that effect, but that's not too often. Usually my losses are very, very small, 7 pips, 9 pips, 10 pips, something to that effect. And again, it's because I can see that the trade just isn't working for whatever reason, and it's easier for me to close out that position with a small loss and then wait for another bigger opportunity like this, because we get them, we just don't get them all the time. And it's the same thing that I mentioned earlier with the continuation breakout trade. They're very effective, I just don't get them all the time. You can see that for about a week and a half I didn't get anything here, and I like using this strategy with the yen crosses. When I execute the continuation breakout trade on the yen crosses, pound yen, euro yen, it pays a lot more than 55 pips on those trades. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this one short. I've got another session with some coaching students in just a moment, and I will send out the next update at approximately this time tomorrow.